morning, guys. It is Thursday, February 6th. It is our last session of the week. Yesterday, we played a little bit over 13 hours and we lost $120. It was just one of those annoying nights where we just got into a lot of tough spots and lots of weird pots. The weirdest one was we had a way worse than drunk guy to our right, and it was an all-in pot. We had ace king, and he ended up having 9-7 of diamonds, and he flopped all diamonds. So we flopped drawing dead, and we got stacked in that hand. So it was one of those weird nights. But let's go to some tough spots last night that we had. The first one is we are under the gun and we have $800. And then we have right to our left, it's under the gun 2. And we have a Tindian. This is a regular Indian, so we just call them Tindians because there's a lot of them at Windstar. So it was a straddle game. So I straddled, and he folded. And I straddled, and then Tindian is the first open. He raises to $40, which is a somewhat bigger size. So it's folded all the way to him, to us, right? And we look down, and we have ace of diamond, king of spade. So what do we do here? We have an under the gun type player. So do we fold here and we just move on, or do we actually try to play our hand? So of course I couldn't fold, so I call, and now the pot's $85, and the flop comes king of diamond, 10 of spade, and 4 of hearts. So top pair, top kicker. And then we check, and then Tindian bets $50 into a $85 pot, somewhat on the weaker side. So at this point, given that we have ace king, so we can take out the ace blocker, the king blocker, his bet sizing doesn't seem like he has tens here. I think jacks would check back. So his range here is probably queens, just to see if we have a king or aces. So those are the two ranges that we put him on, and it's 50-50, right? So when we call, because bet could be also milking us, since his heads up, people try to milk each other with big hands. So it's not just queen looking weak. So the turn comes the jack of clubs, and the pot's now $185. So it brings where now we have queens, it brings an open-ended straight draw. And if I check here, queens might check back. Ace will value bet. So if I'm going to call a bet anyways, I might as well go ahead and bet so that I can get value from queens that might check back. So I went ahead and bet 100, and Tindian calls. So our range is still the same, either aces or queens. And then so on the river, the pot is 385. The river comes the 8 of spade. So it does bring a backdoor, one of those lower end straight draws, which I don't think anybody has here. So I think that there's no more value in betting this river. And if Tindian does bet, I think we could fold here because he's not betting anything that we beat at this point. So I check, and he checks, and then he shows ace of diamond, ace of spade. Exactly like how we ranged him. And it was just like, what do we do in this spot, right? Open fold, ace king, possibly. So I don't know. Let's move on. The next weird spot was we're in the cutoff, right? We have around $900, and middle position 2, a brother. He actually asked if this hand's gonna be on the video, so yes, it is. But Looks really cool. I saw him yesterday, and the first time I saw him, he's like really quiet and looked like one of those just tough brothers. So we call him Debo because the name Debo always brings out a tough brother. So it's folded to Debo, who raises 20. Then I look down. I have 9 of hearts, the 10 of hearts. So I don't know if Debo has 3,500. He pretty much has the table covered. So I wanted to build a bigger pot to try to win a bigger pot in this hand. So I 3-bet to 60. Try to isolate, pretty much get out the blinds, and just me and Debo heads up. But then Debo, when it comes back to him, he 4-bets. And he 4-bets to 125. So it's like a $65 4-bet. So at this point, like, if he did anything like in 200, we could fold and get away, right? But this is, it's like, okay, we got to call. So we call. So now the flop's $255. And it becomes Jack of Hearts, Ace of Clubs, Ace of Hearts. So gives us the backdoor straight draw, not really, the flush draw. And then Debo checks. So this is like, oh man, we probably just go ahead and check out and get a free card. This is not the board that we want to be just stabbing and stealing on, because he could be checking with ace king, he could be checking with aces, ace queen, he could be checking with ace jack, which I doubt. He could be checking with kings and pilling, at least maybe even more 2-bets. So I don't think betting here will accomplish much. So the turn comes the 6 of hearts, gives us our flush. All right, looks at least decent, right? Then Debo comes out and bet 215. So this is not a kings or queens trying to find out that we have ace bet. This is either ace king, who was tricking or pocket control, or aces. Those are the two hands pretty much now. So we call, right? And then the river now is the pot is around $685, and the river comes the king of spade. So, and then Debo bets out 315. So now this king of spade is like a really annoying card, because if it came out the queen, 10, anything lower, and if he bets, we could fold here because he's not betting, you could say, into a chop pot. If we don't have anything like ace queen or ace 10, it's hard for, like, so he's not, I don't think he's betting there. And because ace king now, the reason that ace king is annoying is because he could have ace king and he could be betting into us, thinking that we think he's trying to steal a chop pot, so that we would call with like an ace queen for a chop, and then where he ended up having ace king and he doesn't chop. So that ace king puts us right there where we beat 2-pair, right? A tricky 2-pair that played. So it felt like we had to call. So I did call. I called 315, and then he shows, of course, 2 aces. So given that the ace of hearts out there, let's just say ace of clubs and ace of spade. So it was just annoying because if the flush didn't come, we could have got away. If the king didn't come, we could have got away. So given this hand, I think some people could say we could probably fold the river, because this might not be the type of player that bets ace king, but $350 into $685, I think a lot of people would make this bet. So it was an annoying spot. I think is a call. So we can't check out. We have to check out pretty soon, so we can't hit the gym. So this session will be no workout. So actually, it's time to go do a little meditation for about maybe an hour. Then we'll come back and get ready and head to the room. See you in a bit. Hey guys, so we are back for the last contemplation segment for this week. So before we do that, let me give you an exchange of what happened yesterday. So yesterday I was in a hand. I had an elder gentleman to my right and a lady to my left. So the elder man, it was folded to the elder gentleman who was on the button. He raised 15, and then I folded. She called. Flop comes queen high, check, bet, check raise, call, and then on the turn bet, and then river bet, and then of course he calls, and then she shows ace queen for top pair top cricket, and he showed aces, and she goes, "You played it well. I couldn't been put you on aces at all." And I look at her. Well, what did you put him on? He never raises. He's an old man. He only plays the nuts, and he called you down when you check raise. So what do you put him on here? And then he goes, "Yeah, I knew I was. I knew you had me, but I had to call." So I just look back and forth, and these are the kind of exchanges you see at the poker table where nothing makes sense, right? People just are just, you can say, delusional. That's what we talked about yesterday. Is that people are so delusional at the poker table with the way they play the hand, with the way the others play, and with their abilities, and we're very delusional, and because of that delusion, right, we say it clouds our perception, and we are not able to see things deeper for what they really are. So as a result of that, there's a lot of deception comes around, and the biggest deceptor of all is us. We are one of the biggest deceivers, and who do we deceive? Well, we deceive ourselves the most because we just don't know that we're deceiving ourselves. So how do we can we even see this, right? Like with with our children, we say we love our children and we'll do whatever we can for them, but we can't even put down the phone. We can't even get rid of the TV. We can't even have set around a nice dinner time to have a real talk with our kids. So we don't really do what's best for our kids. Then we say we want to do what's good for us, right? We care about ourselves, but then we sacrifice years of future lives, of longevity, of vitality, for a few hours or a few days of, a little dip of sensuality here, a little snort of pleasure there. So we pay a high interest in terms of future lives for a little bit of extra burst of life now, and we think that, and we tell us that we do things that are good for us, right? And then when we talk about love and relationships, we say that we love the other people, but really, it's not. It's more like we love them as long as they're willing to do what we want and live the way we want and do what we expect. And if our expectations or our desires aren't met, well, we don't love them anymore. Well, that's not really love, right? So these are all deceptions that we lie to ourselves every day throughout just to wash away this guilt of that we're not doing what's best for ourselves. And then not only that, but then we go out and we surround ourselves with people that have the same kind of lies and tendencies and habits. And then because they agree and say the same things we do, well, we pat each other on the back and say, well, you're a good father, you're a good husband, and then they pat us on the back. So it's the blind leading the blind, and nobody, they both don't. It's just like that exchange of poker. They have no sense of what's really going on, and they both know that, but they don't want to admit it. So they both just deceive themselves and deceive the others. And as long as we both don't acknowledge our deceptions, well, then it doesn't exist. So that's a whole convoluted life we live in, and it's all based on delusion that clouds our perception. So we want to get better at all this. Then we need to remove that cloud. We need to remove that delusion so that we could see things clearer, and then we could actually start being honest with ourselves first. Because if we want to change the world, we need to start with ourselves, right? the world is our reality, is the way we perceive it. So we need to start with the changing ourselves first if we want to fix the world, and change it and be honest with ourselves and work on ourselves. And then from there, we could be a rock, an anchor, a foundation for others that we care about to start changing as well. So we don't change the world by trying to change the outer. We change the world by trying to change the inner, and we start working on ourselves, and then we get better. And then because of that, those around us will get better as well. Not because of anything we do for them, it's because the things we do is it has a positive effect and a positive outburst. I think that's it for the day. I hope we have. Let's try to have a good session. We're probably gonna push it since we have this weekend off for daddy duties. So let's maybe we could crush it today, and start next week on a with some cheese. I will see you guys next week. Hasta mañana, or hasta luego.